Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble and on Patreon for extra support. Any kind of updates and such, I usually go about on Twitter X. Yesterday, I did manage to get some time and made a video regarding the benchmark tool from Monster Hunter Wilds. Again, this is the first version that they launch. I will assume eventually closer to the launch of the game, we might get some updates on the tool. Just a quick reminder, I left it on the video itself. It takes a little bit while to do the shader compilation, at least from with my system. But yeah, the overall thoughts is the some parts I think they are more CPU limited than GPU. Even though with some tweaks that I did on the video itself to showcase kind of what we kind of can achieve in game in terms of improving a little bit of frame rates here and there in 4K native. Again, I went for uh, free ways of going about it, which is the default that the game that the benchmark tool showed me by default when I launched the benchmark tool. Then I tried to tweak the best that I could for 4K native and maintaining a little bit above the 60 frames per second. Then I just did upscaling with the same settings to see how much did it improve in terms of performance. But yeah, some stuff there seems to be CPU limited. I just hope that the performance improvements that they are making there goes in line on improving, especially more of the CPU limitations that the engine. Again, this is RE engine. We saw this situation with the Dragon's Dogma 2, especially with a lot of NPCs and villages and cities. It seems as the engine struggles a little bit with CPU usage when we have a lot of NPCs and routines coming about in the background. I suppose mainly because when the game engine was made from the ground up, it was more in line for Resident Evil games. I will assume that eventually they will improve this engine. It's a very good engine in terms of graphic fidelity, and even from the art cell from Monster Hunter Wilds, I don't have basically any complaints there. But yeah, I will leave it there for you to check more in more details how I went about and my overall thoughts on the benchmark tool and how probably it will get translated to the main game. But yeah, later they will have another the Callisto Protocol episode, and after that, I think we only missing 2 episodes until we reach the final stages of this series. But yeah, other than that, let's go to the news. Not much happening. At least that got my attention. We now have officially kind of statements from ASUS China regarding the Q-Release thing there on the GPU side of things. And it seems that they are offering compensation for damaged GPUs if it basically can be proven that they were damaged due to this release system. Again, um, with this kind of system, at least my initial thoughts, and it's kind of the same way that I go about a PCI connector to the GPUs, the 12-volt power pins. Again, when you induce or introduce a design, whatever design is, that when induce some user error more often than not, and that user error just basically damage the hardware itself. I tend to consider a little bit a flaw on the design itself. I think they had a better solution with a more accessible button to do the release there. Again, I think it's again just pulling stuff, especially on things very sensitive like a GPU on the PCIe lanes. The GPUs are already pretty heavy, and if you're not doing that as it's supposed to do to be released, you might induce, especially on this part of the GPU, you can break this thing very easily. Again, I think the quick release button is something better because even if you move around um, the case or something like that, there is some scenarios that I might think about that might eventually accidentally, I don't know, get the card not very well connected, and then some damage might occur. But yeah, they seem to be on top of things. That again, they at least from the China market, they are doing some warranty, especially warranty assistance for other GPUs brands. I think ASUS and MSI are pretty good together with this. But yeah, other cards again, they will try to assist on everybody that they can. But again, this is at this moment for China market, and specifically ASUS motherboards that have this feature. But yeah, at least we have an official thing, and they seem to be on top of things on trying to help out any kind of consumers that by any kind of accident just damage the GPU. But yeah, at least something good to see. Let's see how this develops. If there is any kind of retraction, or this will be incorporated in more markets from ASUS. But yeah, at least something good out of this. And then we got again, we got the creeping of information regarding the RDNA 4 GPU launch. Again, now we have another official information from Frank Azor. I think he's part of AMD. Again, I don't like the fact that this site doesn't let me highlight anything here. But Frank Azor is from inside AMD. And he basically says that full details are coming soon, giving the impression that it's in line with Lisa Su statements that, to, I think it was a earnings call. I think we are going to see is probably they will leave the 5070 launch period get over like a couple of days or so. So after all the reviews come out and the product launch comes, they will do their event. I think 22, 23rd February probably, and to launch everything early March with good enough inventory in every retailer. And again, hopefully, again, this is all hopes and dreams. They can do a good number, not only on terms of performance competing with the 5070 Ti, but also in terms of price. And probably, again, hopefully they can do a good number on this and try to gain a little bit of market share and pressure a little bit NVIDIA, especially at this price point, which is a little bit more affordable than the $2,000. And I would like to see, hopefully, 9070 XT coming about, I don't know, $600 maximum. I think it will be a goodish deal there, but again, it all comes up to how it performs and how it will come out in terms of prices, because we don't know exactly how the 70 class cards are in terms of inventory. If there is, if this is going to be kind of a paper launch, because this is going to be the same thing that we have seen on the 5090 and to a certain extent 5080s. I think we're going to see creep up in prices on the 70 class cards, especially on the TI version, creeping up to almost $1,000. And if NVIDIA, sorry, if AMD comes and launches this RDNA 4 at the MSRP, let's imagine $600, which is $150 less, performing kind of the same. And if the FSR4 is really that good from the showcases that we saw from CES, I think we have a good competition here at this price point, even though it's a little bit more than the entry level. $600 is not cheap, but I think it gives a good competition here. And yeah, I think it will we'll see something good if all my hopes and dreams come to fruition. But yeah, I think we'll be preparing ourselves to a strong news cycles on late February. So let's see how this will go. In terms of the gaming stuff, we got that Stranding 2 on the beach gets Korean rating. Usually, I think Korea is one of the always the kind of the first game rating associations that usually comes out with their own ratings. And again, I think from the rating we can see that it goes in line with the same kind of tone that the first one. There is a lot of red blood, bodily harm, excessive vulgar language, profanity and swearing. Then there's excessive vulgarity and swearing during the game with a lot of fucks assholes and all that jazz. Direct drug use and smoking and drinking scenes are depicted during the game. And I will assume because I think one of the systems is you extract your blood and you have uh, peace bombs and all and all that jazz. Again, very interesting stuff there. And again, it's vetoed to minors, so I think it's going to have a 70 plus around that in all markets. But the thing is, usually games tend to be rated relatively close to launch. We only have a window. I think it was just I think 2025. I think the only date that we had from the Game Awards, if not mistaken. Um, Probably maybe I don't know. Give it a while. Probably in the summer. I think the first Death Stranding launch in the summer. Hopefully, again, I just hope that the it will come at the same time on PC, given that this basically is a PlayStation kind of exclusive to a certain point. It's made with Decima Engine, which is a pretty good one, very light, and can keep good graphic fidelity. Yeah, the only thing is going to be the worry of PSN requirement stuff there. I think PlayStation, as a publisher, backtracked. I think in almost every game. If it has single player game, you don't need the PSN stuff. You only need PSN linking and account creation if there is any kind of multiplayer component. And for example, single player games that have multiplayer components, for example, Ghost of Tsushima, and I will assume, for example, something like Death Stranding that supposedly you can play it offline as a single player, but the asynchronous multiplayer is the thing that gives a little bit more flourish to the game itself because you don't interact directly with the players. It's asynchronous that people that will do some stuff on the levels. They are the feedback is done to your world, and it also what you do can bleed through other players' worlds in that sense. I'm not sure how that will go with PSN if this is going to be done through PlayStation. But yeah, hopefully we'll get a good sequel here. Again, I still have to play this game, but for that I prefer to continue to play it as a live stream. But yeah, a lot of stuff is coming out this year. It's going to be a pretty busy year, and this is one of those games that I think is going to be a pretty good one. Very Kojima style kind of game. Then we continue here with a little bit of the Sony stuff there. Is going to publish games from software. Sony, again, because of that Kadokawa and Sony deal that they did to avoid the overtaking of the Kakao ones. I think it's a South Korean one embroiled in a lot of shenanigans, especially financial shenanigans, and they for them to avoid being a kind of bought out by a foreign company. Again, they managed to get a deal with Sony regarding having basically majority shares or majority stake. They didn't Kadokawa was not fully bought from Sony, so there isn't that worry. But the fact that they did manage to get a majority share, I think, in terms of publishing, because if not mistaken, all Kadokawa games or from software games, especially, they were published internationally from Bandai Namco. That was the case with Elden Ring, and I think the Dark Souls and all the other ones, Armored Core 6 and all that jazz. I think they were all done through Bandai Namco. I think Sekiro was not. I think that's one of the cases. Bloodborne was from Sony also. Again, it has to do with IP stuff, ownership. But yeah, let's see how this goes. Hopefully, the fact that Sony is going to publish games from Kadokawa, stuff that comes from especially from software. Hopefully, we don't get this kind of situation. Given that Elden Ring or games like Elden Ring and Dark Souls usually have some asynchronous multiplayer features. For example, Elden Ring, you got the stuff that you can battle, the arena stuff. We got Elden Ring Night Rain is going to be more heavy on the multiplayer side of things. Hopefully, we don't have this PSN stuff because again, PlayStation it's owned by Sony. Again, I'm not sure exactly how this will go. Hopefully, it will continue as the same, so they will let publish don't any kind of shenanigans happening with PSN, because I think otherwise two scenarios might happen, which is one of them, they will have less sales because PC gamers are not willing to forfeit the stand in the ground that we did regarding PSN linking with PlayStation games. Again, depends how Sony will treat this, or they will because From Software games are that good. Maybe they will break that. Again, it all depends how Sony will publish these games internationally. Hopefully, we'll continue to see From Software games as we'll be seeing. So no kind of shenanigans. Just go for their own servers. They don't need extra steps to access the full length of the game. But yeah, let's see how this goes. And then lastly, I've been kind of following up here to a certain degree the sorry, how it's called, USDA, USAID, sorry, and the fact that Elon Musk and that DOGE department, they are basically going through the books and seeing what kind of shenanigans are happening there in terms, especially in terms of payments to foreign entities like NGOs or even other stuff like that. Again, it's not something that I bring here to the gaming news program. But one thing is affecting probably more. It's the media side of things. We got one of the highlights was USAID was financing Politico to the media outlet Politico to the tune of, if not mistaken, $8 million annually, and this was made through membership stuff. That's why I think a lot of these media outlets or legacy media outlets did manage to keep their stuff going through with blocking access through a paywall to all of their content because they were being financed to the tune of having their payroll basically being paid by US government. And of course, with that, when you are paid by basically a single benefactor, you get to do the basically you write what they tell you to write, basically, to a certain extent, or at least go through a narrative. And because we know to a certain extent USAID is embroiled in a lot of meddling with foreign governments and all that jazz through NGOs and financing those NGOs. I think we saw also in this case of Political the fact that they didn't pay their staff this month. I think that's from Political. Again, I didn't follow this story that well, but it's going to bleed out in other legacy media coverage, especially on the gaming side of things, which is the things that caught more my interest here for the gaming program news that I'm doing. And I think we might see some big outlets that I will assume that have membership programs associated with it to access the content that they had or to access extra content. Maybe we will see maybe IGN involved in having some funds out of this. Probably maybe Kotaku not so much because they being acquired. Maybe those like corporate conglomerates that have all these media outlets that are in the same umbrella. Maybe there is some financial shenanigans happening there, mainly because of the narrative that we've seen, the fact that they're still hammering down what people might call the woke agenda. Again, I think is kind of and also the financing of the continuation of the Gamergate 2, which is what we are at this point now, which is fiddling down because again, the lack of financing will eventually let this what we can call really grifters, because again they were being financed by the U.S. government. I will assume we will see something like this happening in gaming media outlets for sure. Hopefully we will see something like a list of of the media outlets that were under this kind of umbrella, if they are. So again, I'm assuming they are because again, we know that BBC, CNN were under the payroll of USAID. Regarding again, it's a matter of those membership programs that they have, and they are financed through different funds, but the money comes directly from the taxpayer, from the U.S. citizen. I don't think maybe that's the best use. And given that they are basically a monolith, so they basically have the same kind of lines, the same kind of direction when covering certain topics. But yeah, for this program is more about the gaming. I'm thinking that at least a couple of maybe more well-known media outlets and maybe single content creators that are more uh, they usually call it more liberal side of things, but I think they are basically paid to have a certain narrative. I think I heard about Vosh. I don't know this guy, but maybe those more I don't know if a Sun Piker, which is very well known Twitch streamer, might be in that kind of payroll. I heard the guy earns a lot of money doing Twitch streams, but they are more in the political side of things. But I think some of the gaming that have the same kind of tendencies and tendencies regarding this kind of philosophy and the LGBT acronym mafia imposing those kind of ideologies and victimization. I think those grifters probably will see at least a handful of them being called out and being funded through different means, but mainly through USAID. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this will develop. And again, everybody seems to be freaking out because, again, um, uh, given that the government supposedly is nominated by the taxpayer or of the voter, let's say, I think they should be clear enough regarding this kind of programs that they use financing certain things. I don't think they are an added value to the taxpayer. Especially on the media side of things, because supposedly the media should be the force of state that keeps in check all the other three branches of the government, in this case, US government. But yeah, let's see how this will develop and if you get any interesting news regarding that. But yeah, let's go for the gaming deals to wrap up the episode. We got the Bookwalker, Thief of Tales. Again, this seems a little bit interesting, this game, and it's got positive reviews all around, and it's a very cheap game, and it's on sale for 60% off. We got also Hogwarts Legacy is still on sale, 70% off. Then we got the 2K 20th anniversary from 2K games. Again, they have a couple of games that I really did enjoy. The case of Midnight Suns is one of them. The Legendary Edition is 80% off. I do recommend this game if you like XCOM games, but this has the vertent of having kind of a deck builder component instead of turn-based. It's turn-based depending on the deck that you have. But yeah, I really did enjoy it. I did make a series out of it. It's on the main page of the channel, the playlist of Marvel's Midnight Suns. I only played the base game because I claim it for free from Epic Game Store. But yeah, I really did enjoy this one. Then we got also XCOM 2 Collection, 78% off of everything XCOM 2 related. So War of the Chosen is included, and the other packs here that are basically essential or almost mandatory if you want to mod the game. I think the first playthrough that you do with this game, it's a vanilla one, so you can have a better comprehension of what this game does in terms of how you approach everything tactically and strategically. And then in the subsequent runs, you can go about and have a field day putting and removing mods all you want. Again, this game is a very good one because of the how you can mod the game and have a completely different experience from one playthrough to another. But yeah, I think this is a good one. I have hundreds of hours on XCOM 2, and I always enjoy playing this game from time to time. Then we got also this kind of the spiritual sequel of XCOM 2, which is XCOM Camera Squad. Seems pretty good. I didn't play this game yet, but again, it's very cheap. It's not a very long game. It's not in the same scope that XCOM 2, but I think it's a pretty good one, and it's 85% off. It's one of those that I will eventually do a game playthrough because I always like to play these turn-based games here. And then last we got Bioshock the Collection, also from 2K Games. The collection brings the remastered versions of the first two games, plus Bioshock Infinite and all the DLC associated with the free games, if applicable. 80% off again. It's a very good trilogy. Bioshock 2 is regarded as the weaker of the three, but yeah, I really did enjoy all of the free games, even though I only played Bioshock Infinite on the channel there. But yeah, other than that, I'm going to wrap up here with a plug on my Patreon for extra support. This extra support is more in line for me to, in the future, try to get a better storage solution so I can have backups of stuff that I do for my clients, and of course, some extra space for the videos that I do for the channel. And with all that said, I hope you have a full day. And I'll see you in the next one. So till then, Kunami Master out.